Okay, good morning. We're just going to wait while all of the attendees arrive in the meeting here. So we'll be about 2 or 3 minutes after the hour before we get going, but we want to take a quick moment to welcome everybody to today's webinar on the immigration alternatives in Canada. So it'll be a couple of seconds here while folks get loaded in, and I see the number going up there now. So, and then we'll get started. And just from a housekeeping standpoint, if anyone, as you are arriving in, if you have questions that come forward, you can feel free to use the chat to send those to, either myself or Trevor Kerr or Jess at Invest Ottawa or Pavan, Dhillon, who'll be moderating our panel later on. And they'll be able to make sure that we get to those. Okay, so as folks continue to come in, now that we're starting to get, I see we're still going up a bit, but no less, we'll start to get started on our introductions and move things forward. My name is Adam Dewar. I'm the market director for the Americas at Invest Ottawa, the lead economic development agency for Canada's capital region. We're so happy today to be collaborating with a range of partners, including CRESA, our colleagues at the Canadian Consulate General in San Francisco, our colleagues at the Ontario office in San Francisco, Dhillon Immigration Law, Ribbon Communications, Ross Video, of course, the rest of our team at Invest Ottawa, as well as Suri Chawla, who will be joining us from Digital on Us. So there's a few folks here this morning. I'm going to turn it over to Cowl, who's going to kick things off. He's our Senior Trade Commissioner for the Government of Canada at the Consulate General of San Francisco.
Thanks, Adam, and good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. As Adam said, I'm Terry Cowl. I'm the Senior Trade Commissioner here at the Canadian Consulate in San Francisco. I'm part of the Trade Commissioner Service of Canada, and we're a network of 160 missions around the world. In addition to helping Canadian companies export to overseas markets, we also work with local companies to help facilitate and attract foreign direct investment into Canada. And amongst the services we provide market intelligence to local companies. We work with partners to organize site visits to Canada. We provide an overview of those all-important regulatory and immigration policy issues. And of course, that's going to be the focus of today's conversation. We convey insight into government support programs and tax incentives. And of course, that all-important aftercare service in terms of helping navigate any potential bumps in the road along the way. And for us, the core of our successful approach is this seamless partnership we have with ourselves and the federal government, along with our partners in the provincial and municipal governments, as well as the private sector, in order to help facilitate this investment. And today's event is emblematic of that approach. And so we're really proud to work with our colleagues with the Government of Ontario, with Invest Ottawa, and of course, CRESA to help organize today's webinar. So enjoy today's session, and we're looking forward to hearing your comments. Thanks.
Excellent. And now we're going to invite Chelsea Peet, who's a Senior Economic Officer and leads the Ontario office at the San Francisco Consulate, to introduce and say a few words.
Great. Thanks, Adam, for the introduction. And to the many friends of Canada and California that are here today, thanks for joining. As Adam mentioned, I'm Chelsea Peet. I'm the Consul and Senior Economic Officer representing the Government of Ontario here in California. And our office is part of a network of 16 trade and investment offices around the world. We report to the Government of Ontario's Ministry of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade. And we are responsible for supporting and promoting Ontario's business interests abroad. So I'm really pleased to be here with you today to hear from our wonderful panel of experts on Canada's friendly immigration climate and to hear firsthand from companies that have and are continuing to grow in Ontario and Canada. And from an Ontario standpoint, you know, we have a very long track record of embracing talent from around the world. The province is home to people who from over 150 countries who speak over 200 languages. Almost a third of our 14 million residents were born outside of the country. And we're actually one of the most popular hubs for global talent in all of Canada, attracting almost 45% of all new immigrants. So it's a wonderful place to call home, and we're increasingly seeing more people and companies come and discover what makes our province such a great place to live, work, and play. I'm really looking forward to hearing more from our panelists, and if you as the audience have questions or would like to learn more, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're happy to connect at any point. So thanks very much.
Excellent. Thank you, Chelsea. And now we're going to call on Martin Aus, who is the principal of CRESA in the Ottawa region and our partner in helping to promote this and get this in front of a large audience as possible. Also a partner of Invest Ottawa. So, you know, should any of you decide to come to our tech ecosystem in the Ottawa region, Martin will be the one who helps you to look at office space and opportunities to really set your roots down.
That's a pretty strong ad. Thank you, Adam. So my name is, as Adam says, Martin Aus. I'm with CRESA Canada. I'm in Ottawa, but we do have locations all across Canada, from Vancouver, Toronto, all the major metropolises, and Ottawa's right there along with that. We've also got representation from our California offices. CRESA is a global company, so you see Mark George up there. He's in San Jose. We've got LA, San Francisco, San Diego, LA, Orange County. So CRESA has a strong presence down in your part of the world. Certainly we're not going to talk about real estate today. Let's make that clear. But the reason a real estate company like CRESA is here is we really felt that that there were a growing number of companies in California particularly that were interested in Canada. And so we really wanted to reach out and see if we could facilitate something, and amazing support from all the people who are on this call. So so here we are, and thanks for attending. Anyway, if it does turn out that there is an interest in Canada, we're here to help. Between our California people and our Canadian people, we can answer all your questions about real estate. But today, it's about the stuff that happens before anybody rents any real estate. So thank you for coming.
Thank you, Martin. And so, you know, obviously immigration, you know, forms a major part of the Canadian value proposition. And so, you know, today we have organized for you a couple of things. I mean, first, we're going to have our colleagues from Immigration and Citizenship from the Government of Canada actually talk about how the programs work. And then from there, we're going to move on to a panel discussion. And that panel discussion is going to be companies that have used various aspects of the Canadian immigration system, you know, in terms of their practical, you know, actions and interactions with them, and how it's played out for them, so that you'll get both, you know, the official position on it and the unofficial position on it. One of the more important pieces of that to keep in mind is with the Canadian immigration system is that ability and that openness. The fact that they're here today to talk to, you know, the folks that we've got here. They talk to our clients all the time. These are real, living, breathing people inside of the Canadian Immigration Department whose job it is to help you bring people into the country. So with that, I'd like to welcome Hamza from Immigration, Citizenship and Refugees, who's based in our Los Angeles consulate, to the stage to discuss and give you an overview of these great streams that the government has put forward.
Thanks, Adam. Good morning, everyone. Thanks to Invest Ottawa for inviting me to be part of today's webinar. I am Hamza Hanedi, the Outreach Officer at the Canadian Consulate in Los Angeles. And I'm happy to be talking about key immigration programs that are put in place in order to facilitate bringing talent that Canadian businesses need in order to expand, grow, scale up, and have the resources that they need in order to compete on a global level. And so basically today I'm going to focus on global skills strategy. I'm going to call it going forward GSS just because it's shorter. And some employers call it the Canadian Immigration Fast Track program, which is kind of true, and it kind of reflects how the program works. And so Canadian employers can benefit from global talent because they need it in order to grow their businesses. And global skills strategy was a public policy that started in 2017 as a response to this need. And basically, it's fast, it's predictable processes that are in place to help employers bring the talent that they need, transfer it, hire it, and also retain it if there is a need. So basically, global skills strategy has four main pillars that I'm going to discuss today. And I want to say that global skills strategy is jointly led or co-led by IRCC, which is my department, and by ESDC or Service Canada, which is Employment and Social Development Canada. So GSS features faster application processing, meaning work permit that goes through GSS can be processed in as little as 2 weeks. So Canadian employers can hire a foreign national worker and manage to bring them to Canada within 2 weeks, which is very fast. The second pillar of global skills strategy is that, again, to reduce red tape and to help Canada get the resources that it needs, there is work permit exemptions for short-term work permits, for example, for top researchers and highly skilled people who need to come to Canada for a short period of time, like no more than 30 days in a calendar year. They could benefit from work permit exemptions under global skills strategy. Now, the third pillar, which I think is a very helpful resource that GSS offers, which is the designated service channel. Designated service channel is part of the IRCC kind of led part of GSS. So basically GSS provides concierge service. So for businesses and companies that are willing to make significant investment in Canada, and if they were referred by one of our partners, designated partners, and when I say designated partners, we have a very long list that you can check on our website, but I can mention that Invest Ottawa, the host today, is on that list. They are designated partners. Toronto Global, and of course Global Affairs Canada, our trade commissioners, are all on that list. They are all designated partners, and they can all assess, and if they come to the conclusion that this company or this business has significant benefits, can scale up in Canada, can transfer knowledge to Canadians or help employ them, then they can initiate an official transfer to the designated service channel. And after this transfer happens, there will be an account manager assigned to contact the company directly and help them in a one-on-one basis. Basically, they will help them navigate the different immigration processes because it can be quite confusing, and to see what might work best in their very specific circumstances. They do a number of things. The account manager can do, for example, troubleshooting if certain cases for one reason or the other fall in the cracks, or if there is delays in the processing that the company wants to know what's going on or follow up. The account manager can follow up on behalf of the company with the primary office on the case and see what is going on. I want to point out here that there are certain services that are out of scope for the designated service channel, just to keep the expectations realistic. So basically, the account manager cannot make decision on the cases They cannot push any case up the queue or prioritize any case over the other. They cannot waive any main requirements, but they can assist in the sense of guiding the business in terms of immigration programs that might best fit their needs, and also in following up on the cases after they are submitted. So this is the third pillar of global skills strategy. The fourth one is 10-day labor market impact assessment processing under global talent stream. So this is the part that ESDC Canada manages, not IRCC. So basically, labor market impact assessment is required for most work permit applications because it assesses the impact of any potential foreign nationals coming to work in Canada on the Canadian labor market and on jobs available for Canadian citizens and permanent residents of Canada. There are certain occupations that require a labor market impact assessment. This process in a regular work permit could take a minimum of 3 months. That's the minimum. So if those cases come through global talent stream, then the GSS policy ensures that the labor market impact assessment gets processed within 10 business days. If the labor market impact assessment is positive, then the client could proceed to submit a work permit application to us, to IRCC, that would also benefit from GSS, meaning it will be processed within also 2 weeks. So technically the entire process, even with a labor market impact assessment requirement, should take no longer than 1 month. I want to note here that we have been on a call with ESDC colleagues not long ago, and I'm happy to report that they are well within processing time. So when it comes to reviewing labor market impact assessment through GTS, they are around 10 or 11 days. So they are doing great on that front, which is a good news. So there are two ways for GTS, for clients to benefit from GTS. And I want to say that GTS, or Global Talent Stream, is a part of the temporary foreign worker program. So a labor market impact assessment, as I said, is required. So clients can apply through GTS either through category A or category B. Category A is less frequent. The majority of applications for GTS goes through category B. Category A requires a referral from one of the designated partners, and it's usually for people who have unique and specialized knowledge, and like executives and CEOs. In the category B, companies can directly submit a labor market impact assessment to ESDC. There is no referral requirement there. And I want to mention that for category B, clients have to be highly skilled, but they have to have an occupation that is in demand, meaning there is 12 occupations listed on the global occupation national list on our website, and those 12 occupations are mainly in the STEM and IT professions. So if you want to hire a client who has an occupation that falls within one of these 12 occupations, then you can benefit from category B of global talent stream and apply directly with ESDC in order to get the labor market impact assessment going. So that's the fourth pillar of global skills strategy. And I want to also mention that under global skills strategy, some people, some foreign nationals do not require labor market impact assessment. And these people are usually processed under international mobility programs. So basically under international mobility program, there are a number of labor market impact assessment exemptions that are built in Canada's free trade agreements. So like CUSMA, which is the new NAFTA, for example. So a US citizen who wants to transfer from a multinational company here in Canada, in the US, to a company in Canada that is an affiliate or a subsidiary could benefit, for example, from exemption T24, intra-company transfer, without a need for a labor market impact assessment. There are a number of these free trade agreements, and all of these, work permits under International Mobility Program also benefit from the 2-week service standard under GSS. I want to also note, because some foreign nationals do qualify in terms they are, highly skilled, they do have the knowledge, they have worked for a minimum 1 year in the company here in the US, but they happen to be nationals of a country that does not have a free trade agreement with Canada. There are an alternative, for example, we do have a number of exemptions like C10, C11 for entrepreneurs, C10 significant benefit, and C12 for intra-company transfer. So for example, an Indian national who is in the tech business here in Silicon Valley, for example, and wants to transfer as intra-company transfer to Canada can benefit from that labor market impact assessment exemption. So I want to talk a little bit now about processing times. When we say 2-week processing time, we mean that this time starts from the minute IRCC, which is my department, receives a full application. The application has to be well documented and everything should be submitted. Also, if biometrics requirement is applicable in this case, or if the client needs to complete immigration medical examination, both should be on file before this clock starts ticking. So from that point until a decision is rendered, we are talking 2 weeks. Obviously, we have been experiencing some delays, and this is something that we heard from multiple clients. And the reason for the delays is because of the impact of COVID. We had, limitations in our processing capacity. Some of the limited resources were directed to tackle those who were deemed essential workers and to try to get them to Canada as fast as possible. But with that said, I want to mention that despite all of the delays that sometimes is out of our control. And also I want to mention the biometrics requirement, for example, with so many VACs still temporarily closed. And also here in the US, the other option is application support center, for example, with USCIS also either backlogged or closed. That is also causing a major delay. But with all of these delays, we are still talking about 4 to 8 weeks. So despite being out of the service standard for the processing that we promised for GSS, it's still fairly quick, everything considered. I also want to mention something about global skills strategy, which when we often share with our TCS clients, they welcome the news and it provides them a sigh of relief. For example, all of the GSS clients qualify for for a spousal open work permit. We do get asked this question a lot, like, I want to go to Canada and I am on a work permit under GSS, but what happens to my family? Should I go there and then try to sponsor them? The answer is there's no need. If you qualify for GSS and you have a common law partner, a spouse, or dependent children, then the spouse would qualify for an open work permit. Open work permit is not employer specific, as the name suggests, which means that the spouse can work for any employer, and the children, depending on their ages, they might require either a visitor visa, depending on their ages and their country of origin, they might require a study permit, ETA, temporary visa, or nothing at all if they are US citizens. So that's a very important thing that usually help clients and relieve the anxiety, because so many of our clients have been experiencing a lot of anxiety with their spouses not being able to work or having issues with extending their legal status. So this is not an issue, but I want to point out that for the entire family to be processed within 2 weeks and to benefit from this priority processing, they all have to apply at the same time with the GSS candidate, meaning in the same family pack. So this is another thing that I want to note. Another thing that Canada is putting in place is clear paths to permanent residency. And this is something that, again, is resonating with so many of the clients that we meet. So not only there are, processes that facilitate bringing temporary workers to Canada, but there are clear pathways to permanent residency in place for those who come to Canada, work, and decide that they want to call it home, put down roots, and raise their family. In fact, some of the clients that we met specifically considered Canada because they wanted to give their clients here in the US this option to not only work for no end, but actually to work in a place where they can end up citizens and have a house and raise a family. So one of the ways that this can happen is through Canada's Express Entry program. So Express Entry is like an online umbrella that manages 3 different economic immigration programs. One of them is Canadian Experience class. And from the name, a Canadian work experience in a skilled profession is required. And so, for example, if a client goes to Canada on a work permit, and after working there for 1 year, if they decide that they want to settle with their family and they want to pursue the permanent residency option and end up as permanent residents and later citizens, then they could qualify after having or securing this 1 year of skilled work in Canada and meeting language requirements. They could apply for Express Entry. And IRCC is committed to process most of the Express Entry, applications in as little as 6 months. This is the service standard. So up to 80% of all Express Entry applications are processed within 6 months, which is, if we're talking about permanent residency application, it's very express, I guess, from the name. So from start to finish, those who want to pursue this option, they could, end up as permanent residents within 18 months or like 2 years. So that's another thing that we note, and usually people, receive the news very positively. Eventually, and as I said, we try every time that we talk to clients to be very clear and transparent in terms of processing delays when it comes to GSS, because they say, well, it's been more than 2 weeks. And as I said in the beginning, we are fully aware of this, but despite all of the delays, it's still going a lot faster. Yesterday I checked, and for example, the regular work permit processing from the US takes 15 weeks, which was like a couple of months ago, like 20 weeks. That was the average processing time. So things are, getting back to normal. But when it comes to GSS, with the delays, it's still within 4 to 8 weeks. So it's not too bad, everything considered. So I think that's GSS in a nutshell. I hope the information is useful, and I'm gonna go back to Adam right now. Thank you for listening.
Excellent. Thank you. It's been excellent. It is excellent to have you here and your knowledge and these sorts of things. And I'm sure we're going to have some questions that are going to come up. I'll get Pavan to handle all questions. So our next person that we've got up is Pavan Dhillon, who's going to be moderating our panel with 3 of wonderful companies who have operations in the Ottawa region. And one of the things is, well, Pavan, you can feel free to, push any of these questions either to the panelists or all of the panelists as well. Do feel free to direct questions that come into, Hamza or Terry or whoever else might be relevant in terms of doing that. So Pavan Dhillon is an immigration lawyer, a Canadian immigration lawyer with Dhillon Law, based in the San Francisco Bay Area. So somebody you can actually have coffee with if you're thinking that you might want to pursue an operation in Canada and immigrate talent. So without further delay, Pavan.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today and for inviting me to moderate this panel. As a Canadian immigration attorney based in Silicon Valley, we have seen a large influx of companies that are moving and expanding from the Bay Area into Canada. And immigration is really turning out to be a real strategic and competitive advantage for Canada. This is something that's due to some of the recent initiatives that Hamza kindly explained in great detail. Thank you. But in particular, I think, especially global skills strategy and express entry combined has really been a game changer. But rather than discuss the details more, what we really want to do today is speak to some excellent companies who can provide you with that on-the-ground experience. And so thank you to each one of you who are joining our panelists today. I'm going to just briefly introduce you, and after this introduction, if you could say a quick hello and also provide some information about each of your companies, that would be great. Paula Holwell, sorry about that, is the Director of Engineering Application Server at Ribbon Communications, and she is based in Ottawa.
Hello, everyone. So Ribbon Communications is it's a global communications company that is really geared towards end-to-end solutions for our customers, modernizing their networks, moving into the cloud, VoLTE, VoIP. You know, we have a breadth of products from SBCs, application servers, media gateways. That's what Ribbon Communication is kind of focused on. And Ottawa in particular, we have a fair-sized R&D organization in Ottawa, and we actually do development on many of the products in our portfolio. So it's key to the growth of Ribbon as a company, and specifically the application server that I work on.
Great, thank you, Paula. Cathy McCallion is the head of recruitment strategy and communications relations at Ross Video. She's also based in the Ottawa region.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for having me this morning. Ross Video is, we create and manufacture technology for live production. We are a global company, and we like to say that we touch billions of people every year. We consider ourselves a glass-to-glass company, and by that we mean we create everything from the cameras that capture the live event to the screen in someone's living room. So we literally create the cameras, the robotics that the cameras sit on, the servers, the switcher boards, it goes on and on and on. Software that also controls social media and content, right up to the graphics. So we hire a vast array of people with very, very diverse skill sets. We have a large R&D center here in Ottawa, and then also smaller pockets of R&D throughout the world. But the majority of our R&D is conducted here in Ottawa, and we are also proud manufacturers. We do all of our manufacturing here in Ontario.
Thank you, Cathy.
Thank
welcome.
you.
And Suri Chawla is the CEO and founder of Digital on Us, a DevOps IT provider, and he's based in Silicon Valley. Oh, Suri, I think you are on mute.
Thank you, Pavan. Hi, everyone. I'll start again. My name is Suri. I'm based here in Silicon Valley. I run a company called Digital on Us. We're a cloud services provider, so we work with all the major clouds. So any company which is taking a journey to move to cloud, we kind of help accelerate that journey. First startup was in 2001. That time I was predominantly in Mexico as a nearshore. This company I started in 2015. I did start in Mexico from day one. Close to 300 people in Mexico. But Canada, I was introduced to, in fact, I was talking to Chelsea about 2 years ago, and I did not know how friendly the immigration policies were. As my background, just to let you know, I actually did my computer science in 1983. And I had two choices. There's no global entry program, there's no immigration program, which encouraged people to migrate. My only choice was to either get married or move to India. I packed my bags and went to India. I was too young to get married. But when I heard this thing, I actually took that to heart and I doubled down on strategies. And right now we're close to 31 people that we added in Canada. And I'll talk more. I'm sure Pavan has question. Will answer some of the questions, but I just want to let you know. So far, the experience has been great and things are looking good. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you, and welcome to each of you. So one of the first questions that I always ask when I meet with a new company, and one of my favorite questions, is actually understanding why Canada, why, what drew you to Ontario, Ottawa, particularly in each of your cases. And so I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on that.
Anybody in FICOs, or your person talks the most talks the first? Okay. I'll go first, and other people. So to me, like I said, to me, Canada, I was not aware the kind of friendly environment, the kind of program which is there. I went to Mexico initially because Mexico, there was an experience I had in Mexico. The program was more open. And when I heard this program or talking to Chelsea, I really thought about going to Mexico. We saw a vacuum because Mexico was very good in terms of engineering talent, but there was the hiring was pretty expensive in Silicon Valley, if you look at engineers, right? And Canada, especially Ottawa, kind of gave me an option where I could do a price point which was lower than Silicon Valley. And they spoke very much like any American did, right? Unless they said 2 words, they'll give us a Canadian. If they said other than that, they speak like Americans, right? In front of clients. But culturally, they're a lot closer to US as well. So that actually doubled down. So I started hiring some of the senior people, the mid-level to senior people in Canada. So most of the people who have is senior engineers to architects. And that experience, that vacuum that I was not able to fulfill from Mexico, and it's very expensive to hire in US, in Silicon Valley. Canada gave me that kind of fill that gap very well for us. And that part, like I started reluctantly with 3 or 4 people. Now within last year or so, we added about 31 people, and commitment is to add maybe another 10 to $15 million Canadian dollar investment back to Canada. That's the plan.
It's really exciting. Thank you. Paula, would you like to speak next
Sure.
just about your experience?
So in terms of kind of why Ottawa, why Canada, when Ribbon was formed basically through the merger of Jamban and Sonus Networks 3 years ago. And, as part of coming together, they obviously looked at what was our business strategy. And one of the specific segments that they wanted to expand on was the application server market. And there's a requirement, depending on the market and the customer base, for development to be done in North America. So there was automatically right away a need to ensure that we had application server development in North America. Up until that time, my product was developed 100% out of our partner company in Turkey. So I was asked 3 years ago to start a team. I had to go from 0 to 20. And as part of our strategy for that team, we revectored some resources internal to the company as a seed. And then we worked with Immigration Canada, and through the GTS program, brought over a certain number of individuals to help facilitate that team. We hired experienced people, we hired new grads, and obviously students and some of our students have turned into permanent employees as well. So, it was really part of ensuring that we could participate in some of the key markets that required North American-based development. So that's kind of why Ottawa. And specifically, Ribbon has several sites in North America, but Ottawa has that, it has a legacy because we come from Bell Northern Research, Nortel, Jamban. There is a breadth of skills and right within Ribbon and within Ottawa. So they really knew that, it had the foundation where we could get that growth. So that's kind of why we are where we are.
Perfect, thank you. Cathy, if you would like to let us know about Ross Video and your experience.
So definitely a little bit different than what Paula and Suri have described. Ross Video is a privately owned organization. We were founded in 1974 in the basement of our founder's home in Montreal, so Montreal, Quebec. Soon after he founded the company, he recognized that he needed to start a manufacturing facility. And so he moved headquarters to a little town called Iroquois, Ontario. It's about an hour outside of Ottawa, and that's where we have our factory to this day, and have had great success in that area. But it was as our R&D department grew, we knew that we needed to shift, and it was it was an easy shift to go to Ottawa. Echoing what Paula has said earlier, Ottawa is known as a tech hub. It has the skill sets that we are looking for, a fantastic population. We also have 2 major universities here in Ottawa and 2 very well-known colleges as well, amongst others. So we also have the student population to help feed those future pipelines. So for us, it made sense, and we've had quite a bit of success recruiting people locally through various channels. But I also want to say specifically our university partners.
Wonderful, thank you. And so while each of you were going from having the vision and starting the process to actually move into Ottawa, how did you actually go about supporting that strategic growth initiative? And sorry, we can start with you.
So I think, like I said, I had a history in Ottawa. Like I said, I was there from 79 to 83. I went to high school, Lisgar, if anybody from Ottawa remembers. I was there last year, then I went to Ottawa. And I think after 83, I did not go back to Canada, forget about Ottawa, for almost 30 years. I went back, and when this opportunity opened up, and I spoke to Chelsea, and of course I spoke to you, Pavan, to kind of figure out how to set up. So I had a history. Actually, I looked up, I found an old buddy whom I went to college with, and he was in between. He was an entrepreneur himself. He was in between, so I pinged him and said, hey, would you be interested in helping me out? And he stepped up, and he kind of helped me set up a company in Ottawa. Not that it's difficult. I mean, I realized the process to set up a company in Canada is not that difficult, as easy as you set up in US, right? It can be done matter of remotely. I didn't have to go sign any paperwork. So that was the genesis. I went to Ottawa straight from day one. And the other option was actually, I was in a conference here in San Francisco, and there's some people in Ottawa was there working for Payments Canada as one of the employees. And he kind of hit me as a really good engineer. And I kind of talked to him, say, hey, I'm really thinking of setting up. Would you be open? So he looked us up, Suri, I'll give you a chance. So he was the first person he hired, him is Bart. So that's how we started. I had this old buddy of mine, was this engineer, we started. One thing which really hit me, I mean, I know this Canada, US, Mexico has this treaty. It's called TN visa. You can move people in and out. In Mexico, I do have people who come into US to TN. In Mexico, you still have to go to consulate. It takes about 2 weeks to get a TN visa. It's a lot easier than H-1B, a lot easier, no caps. But with Bart, I remember all I did was made an offer letter to him. He actually flew on the way to US. His TN visa was stamped in about 15, 20 minutes, right? That's how easy it was to get him on board. I wanted to bring him on a US project, and it was so easy, and vice versa. So that kind of triggered, I said, you know what, if it's that easy, if we can get talent, I think we should double down on the strategy. And that's how we kind of started growing. It started growing a little slowly, went from 1 to maybe 6 people last year, 2019. We went from 10 to 31 in less than the last 10 months. So hope can I answer that question?
Yeah, that was perfect. Thank you. Cathy, I know that you were just speaking about some of the growth initiatives through the local university. If you would care to expand on some of the other programs that you might have.
So Ross, over the years, has grown both organically and through acquisition. I think it's important to note that that we have had about 16 acquisitions over the last 20 years. And so you can imagine that also helps build up our workforce. And so it's also important to note that I think other than 3 of those acquisitions, maybe 4, they've been outside of Canada. And so we, in some cases, when we acquire, the individuals stay in their home countries. and remain, and we open up a new office to accommodate those employees. And in some cases, they move to other locations. So we've had some great success bringing people to Canada through acquisition, but also, of course, growing organically. I've touched briefly on earlier on our relationships with colleges and universities, and we do have some tremendous universities and colleges in Ontario and Quebec that we access on a regular basis. We have a robust co-ops program, and so I'm not sure what you would call it in the States, but it's basically work integrated learning programs. And so students come and work with us usually for 4 to 8 months at a time. And we get to know them very well, and they get to know us. And in many cases, we hire them upon graduation. And has been tremendously successful for Ross. Our current CTO, I mean, we have a great laugh. He's been with Ross forever, and he came on board as a co-op student. So it really is a successful way to recruit. Even if you don't hire them upon graduation, it's again, they get a sense of your culture, they get a sense of who you are, and often we can recruit them down the line. And of course, students are very vocal, and they spread the word amongst other students, and they spread the word to their parents, who then talk about the organization as well. So for us, that has been a tremendous pipeline for us.
Great, thank you. That was really interesting. And Paula, you also were discussing some of the ways that Ribbon has expanded. If you could just let us know some more of your thoughts, just in terms of short-term and long-term as well.
Right. So when we first started this initiative, one of my colleagues, Sasha Jera, put me in touch actually with Invest Ottawa, because it was a big challenge to go from 0 to 20. How are we going to do this? And it was Invest Ottawa that told me about the GTS program. And at the time, it was a pilot program. We also made the decision to partner with a law firm to help us to go through the process, because of course, being on the engineering side, especially, we didn't have the expertise in immigration law at all. So we partnered with a law firm to help us prepare. The experience was great. Most of the effort was with the law firm. They had us very well prepared, and I can say that we applied for the LMIA. We had 6 individuals that we wanted to bring over, and everything was processed on time, for sure. And it was done, I don't want to say easy, but it went very, very smoothly. And, there was some clarifying data that we had to provide, but it went very, very smoothly for sure. And really those individuals, they're now here, they're part of the team, they mentor the team, they train the team. And, we're constantly hiring and turning over. We partner with Ottawa University and Carleton University in Algonquin as well, as part of with the co-op and internship program. So when we bring those people in, this core team of experts on the product are here to help facilitate that broader team. And we're now up to 25 people on the application server alone in Ottawa. So that's kind of how we went through, but the experience was really, really good. And then what I also found is we were considering expanding and continuing as part of our growth strategy. So we actually went through the expansion process with GTS. And through that process, it was straightforward enough that we were able to just, apply on our own. We didn't need the legal services at that time. And one of the things I really liked about the whole process was the commitment options. So to get this LMIA approval, you're committing to Canada, you're committing to growth, and you're committing to facilitate that. And there was several different options that you could choose from. And it was very, very easy for us to pick options that aligned with our business strategy and the whole reason why we were, undergoing this endeavor in the first place. So, commitment to growth through hiring, through the partnership in the internship programs. We partner with the universities, in terms of participation in career fairs and things like that. And, the other part that we were able to do is, continuous learning and training. So now the people who have worked for the company in Ottawa are also retrained on another product. They have a new set of skills, and it just continues to promote growth. So, the next big project that comes up, these same engineers can continue on. So it was a really, really good experience for us going through the GTS program. It was good to see that it became a permanent option for sure.
Yes, definitely. I think I remember the day it became permanent. I was very, very excited about it. But I think what's really interesting is when I speak to my clients about this, is that the experience of negotiating the labor market benefit plan, which is an important part of the global talent stream, they've always remarked how facilitative the officers are in terms of helping you come up with that plan. But I think that the other overarching thing that and just following up, Paula, on what you were talking about, is how the commitments are so beneficial. It's really a win-win from that perspective. So that's excellent. Thank you. And are there any other, just to jump into the next question, are there any other programs that you've been relying on? So there's the Global Talent Stream. You had mentioned the internship co-ops. Are there any other programs that you're using through Ribbon Communications?
Not me personally on the application server, but I suspect like other organizations like the Candy organization might be using those. We did want to look into using what programs would be available for us to bring people over on a temporary basis. So as part of this growth, I don't want to necessarily bring over 20 or 50 engineers, but my team in Istanbul, it's 100 engineers. They have 10 to 20 years of experience on this product. So, some of them have very unique specialized skills. It would be great to bring them over for like 2-3 months. So we're looking into that. Is that a possibility and how would we go about doing that? Just bring them over on a temporary basis to help ramp the team. Technology is great. We're doing a lot working from home and you can get a lot of work done, but sometimes, just being able to sit next to that guy who's the expert can really make a difference. So that's the next thing that we'll probably look at.
Perfect. I think the intercompany transfer seems to be a good option there, especially with the intermittent travel. We do them all the time for intercompany transfers with specialized knowledge. So I would like to jump to Cathy as well. Cathy, if you wouldn't mind giving us some more information about some of the immigration programs, your experience with the Global Talent Stream, or with postgraduate work permits or express entry.
I was going to say, I wanted to bring up the postgrad work permit. It's just a tremendous vehicle for us, and we use it very regularly. So it's a vehicle that allows any international student who has graduated from a Canadian university to automatically receive a visa to work in Canada for 3 years. So again, upon graduation, they can start working with us immediately. What we find with these students is often they have they already have a degree in the country from which they've come from. And so often they have computer science or engineering, and then they go on to do either an additional undergraduate degree or a master's degree here in Canada. So most of those students have experience coming to Canada. And so they do hit the ground running. So in a sense that we don't really consider them necessarily new grads, because often those individuals have a degree, 3 or 4 years of work experience, then they go on to do either an additional undergrad or the master's. So we are benefiting tremendously from those individuals.
Great, thank you. And I know that the postgraduate work permit allows for lengthy opportunities for work permits up to 3 years for any type of education background, not necessarily just STEM, which is definitely beneficial as well.
And Pavan, I just wanted to make note that that the path to permanent residency is very straightforward. So when you get those people on board, they have their 3-year visa. The path to their PR is quite easy. I mean, we do work with an organization that helps us facilitate that process, but we very rarely meet roadblocks. It's very straightforward.
Great, thank you. And sorry, I know that you've had some experiences as well with Canadian immigration. So if you wouldn't mind giving me, giving all of us some of your insights that you've gleaned from the process and which programs that you've benefited from
Sure.
or about to benefit from.
Sure, thank you. And like I said, we're headquartered here, predominantly between Mexico, Canada, and US is our company. So we don't have the H-1B issue, so I don't have a lot of people in H-1B want to move to Canada. That's not my pain point. I think most of the cross-border is mostly retention. I'll give you, I remember asking Canadians if anybody want to come to US, and nobody raised a hand, right? They said, no, we're happy to be in Canada. Nobody wanted to move. Don't ask me why. Maybe the government changed, people change their mind. But when I ask people from US to Canada, of course, I don't have many people who have H-1B issues to move. But I asked Canada, when I went to Mexico, hey, I got two options. You know what? I'm going to give you as a retention, you can temporarily work out of US or Canada. Maybe 10 people raised their hand for US, almost like everybody's hand went up when I mentioned Canada, right? That's how Canada comes up in the mindset, because it's still a place everybody wants to go to migrate to, right? Through you, we did try the global talent screen. We applied for it. We got approved for the LMIA. There are two people I'm trying to move who are non-Mexican citizens. They're from Indian origin. One is an Indian working in Mexico as a Mexican work permit. I'm relocating him on the LMIA. And one person is Indian origin living in Singapore. So that's another person I'm trying. So the process is definitely helpful. So using LMIA for those two. Otherwise, most of the people are moved on to TN. I know you helped me out. The lady who runs our Canadian operation, she's a US citizen, but she got a TN visa, so she runs our Canadian operations. So TN visa was a straightforward process, an interview which happened. I was told when the immigration officer talked to her, said, hey, I know I'm going to give you the TN visa, don't panic, but still I have to ask you for 20 questions. So give me the time, let me check box, but you're going to get a TN visa, don't panic. It's not an interview. So that's how friendly those people were. You cannot get that experience in any other country, right? I mean, to me, people like Chelsea, doesn't feel she works for government, right? She's almost like trying to sell, hey, come to Ontario. It's like a salesperson trying to do a pitch to a company like us, right? I don't see that kind of passion about country working for government, because people say, your government, you come to me, right? And I'll give you time. They've been very proactive. So far, I think these are the three areas we tried. And I think we rely on intercompany transfer, TN more and more. I think LMI stuff will be limited to maybe very few people.
Perfect, thank you. And I know that we are running close to time. Adam, do we have time for another question, or?
Yeah, I think we have a minute for another question. I mean, the discussion seems to be generating quite some feedback here in the chat box. So yeah, we have a minute or two.
Okay, perfect. One of the questions that I saw come in early on, and I'm sorry, I know some questions have come in, but since I'm just going to be able to ask one of them. I think one of the keys is really, you have this idea that you want to come to Canada. There's a vision that you have to have that expansion. What are some of the first steps that you took to make that happen, and how was the process facilitated for you? And
I'll just take only thing I will leave right after this answer. Hope it's okay. I'll jump on another call. I'll answer quickly. So I think to me, what we did was headquartered here. We created a wholly owned subsidiary in Canada, right? So we had to pick a choice. Ontario, you have to have a local director. But so you have two choices. You can incorporate as a federal entity or a state or a provincial entity. If you do provincial entity in Ontario, if you do a federally incorporated entity, then you need to have a local director, local person who's a resident to be on the board. But what we did was we moved to British Columbia Corporation. British Columbia gives you the flexibility of not having a local director, but you can still create a subsidiary. So we chose that as an option. And that really helped out, because I don't have a local director. Most of the people are hired employees. And I think that really helped out. And after that, I think the process is pretty straightforward, hiring people. We use TriNet here for HR and hiring. Similar company there exists in Canada as well, TriNet. So they take care of all the HR compliance, everything that you don't have to worry about local laws and compliance. They take care of everything. They onboard people, so you're compliant in terms of what the job offer looks like, what are the different terms that you need to do, what are the policies you need to follow. So they help us with all the compliance. There's a little small fee you have to pay, but that's something that we pay in US as well. So that came out very handy for us. So onboarding people is easy. I didn't have to reinvent a lot of the things in terms of employee handbook or in terms of local laws. Those are all kind of ready-made with them. So that ramp up made it a little more automatic process for us.
Great, thank you. That's very insightful. And Cathy, how about if you want to share your experience as well, just in terms of access to the programs and.
Good. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much, Suri. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
I mean,
thank you.
We as a Canadian company, we didn't have to set up. We were here, so of course, not quite the same. But I can say that the support that we get on a local basis and all the way up to the federal level is amazing. We've taken full advantage of Invest Ottawa's talent program, and they are literally an extension of our recruiting team, and so kudos to them, and a shout out. We have many other local organizations that really help promote companies here in the Ottawa region, and then the support goes to the provincial level and of course at the federal level as well. There's many facets that are there to support, and so one of the things that I just want to stress is that when comparing the immigration programs to those of other countries, the bureaucracy is so much less here in Canada, and it's so much more straightforward. And that's just something that I would like everyone to take away, because we really do notice the difference between what we deal with here in Canada versus other countries.
Great, thank you. That's really helpful. And I think having that firsthand experience and account is really helpful for all of the individuals that are attending. Paula, I know we're just wrapping up, but if you wouldn't mind taking a minute or so to just let us know about your experience, being introduced to like the immigration programs, or perhaps just in general of setting up the division for the application server, that would be excellent. Thank you.
Right. So like for us, it was, I guess every situation is unique. The application server was part of the product of the company, but 100% developed out of our partner consulting firm in Turkey, right? So we already had the talent. We just needed to get them in Canada. And there was, a lot of people want to come to Canada. A lot of people want to come to Ottawa. And over the years, because we've partnered with NetRD for, I think 50 years, right? Like, going back to being our Nortel days. So there's a long history here. So over the years, some of these people had been to Ottawa, whether they were here just, for like a 2-day conference with the company or whatever. So there was a strong draw from the folks on the application server team in Istanbul to move to Ottawa and to Canada. So it was easy to get that talent and identify that talent, and it really just became a matter of like, okay, so how do we do this, right? And that's where Invest Ottawa, Immigration Canada, and our legal firm really kind of came in and helped us work through the process. My background is engineering, so like the only time I ever worked with lawyers when I had a will done 20 years ago. So, for me, it was brand new. I'm used to developing products and running programs. I'm not used to how do I, work with the immigration system to bring in people. So, that partnership really, really worked out. And so now everybody in the company comes to me when they want to know about how to bring in talent. So it's another skill in my hat too. So it's great. So it's really good. Like I said, I think every situation is unique, but we already knew we had the talent to bring over. We just need to figure out how to bring them here.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you to each of you. It was really insightful to learn about your experiences, all very unique. And I'll pass it back over to you, Adam.
Awesome. Thank you, Pavan, and thank you to our panelists and everybody that we've got here with us today. So there's a couple of things that you can do as a next step. We've shared a link that you can book a meeting with Invest Ottawa, and then Invest Ottawa can triage that off to various folks that are involved here today, or involve those various parties, you know, in the meeting at your request. So, you know, feel free to use that. You know, as well, you can reach out to myself via LinkedIn, you know, feel free to do that, or myself, you know, via my email, which is, I'll share that in the chat again, just to make sure, because we're more than happy to make connections to different folks that are here today, have a discussion with you, you know, about specific questions or questions that we may not, you know, have gotten to. I know somebody mentioned, you know, when do we foresee that the biometrics are going to come back? And, you know, I think probably the answer to that is that they're coming back in some countries, but we don't entirely know, you know, when they'll be back in every country, because it's very much pandemic dependent, you know, at this particular point in time. But, you know, one of the things that I think is clear and everyone should be aware of is the immigration targets for Canada have been vastly increased for next year and the year after and the year after, because population growth is a critical cornerstone of our strategy as a country to continue growing our economy. And that's true of Ottawa, and that's true of every ecosystem in this country. So where that's a priority for us, you know, you can be assured that the stance is going to be towards, you know, how do we actually get people in? How do we increase our population? So, you know, feel free to use the link that we've shared in the chat and book a follow-up meeting. Feel free to send me an email because you want to connect with Pavan or with Cathy or Paula or Chelsea or Suri or whoever else. We've got all of our rest of our team here, or Hamza. Thank you all to everybody for joining us today. This has been great. We've got some great clips that we're going to be able to use on why Canada and why Ontario and why Ottawa is such a great place. And I'm sure that Ontario or my colleagues from Ontario and the feds were like, ooh, this is good. So we're getting some great things committed to video here today. So thank you very much. And as I say, we invite you to submit any questions or contact any of us. Thanks again, and we'll have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.